Portland, Oregon wants landlords to help resolve the homelessness issue by housing homeless in their empty units. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming once again out of Portland, Oregon. Now, if any of you saw the post on my community tab, Portland was viewed by the Motley Fool, that publication, as being one of the worst places to be a real estate investor or landlord. So obviously, other people, they're seeing the same thing that I am, okay? They're seeing that they have way too many rules, way too many regulations, and it's just too hard to be a landlord, especially a small landlord in a place like that. Regardless of if you're getting great appreciation on your property, if you got to jump through a million hoops in order to get that appreciation, you're just not going to be doing that well. So now the city, which is notoriously known for being just full of homeless people and lots of drugs on the streets and lots of property damage issues, etc., right? Now the city is begging landlords to participate in some program to house these homeless people. Now, if you're a smart person, you'd be like, wait a second here. They've basically made it so it's darn near impossible to evict anyone in the city. But they want me to put a homeless person, possibly with, other issues, substance abuse issues or mental health issues, etc., in my unit. No way, don't do it. That sounds like a disaster waiting to happen, in my opinion. So, yeah, it sounds like a horrible idea. Now, before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. What do you think of these programs where these cities are begging landlords to house the homeless in their units? I covered another city that was doing something very similar. I can't recall which city it was, but, the results, it's the same thing. One of the things I'm constantly reminded of is that story of that lady who got stabbed by a homeless person who she invited into her home. Well, that's the kind of issues you're dealing with. You're dealing with homeless people who have substance abuse and mental health issues, and it does not benefit a landlord, even if the city is providing the payment for their housing or a guarantee against damage. It doesn't benefit a landlord to put that person in their property, especially when the government checks eventually will come to an end, and they have such strong eviction protections, you might not be able to get rid of that person. Okay? So, today, after I read this article, I'm going to be going over a couple of comments from the video I had about Portland, Oregon, right? And so, it was a good video. And the thing is that, I cover Portland a lot, especially these rent control issues, right? And other people, they, are saying, hey, I'm under rent control. I'm a landlord and I'm doing just fine. Well, I'm glad that other people are doing fine under rent control, but I have some other arguments for you. But let's get into the article first. So this article is coming from wweek.com, and it says, Multnomah County will pay landlords 1 year of rent to house homeless Portlanders in vacant apartments. The county set aside $4 million for the program. So yeah, let's see exactly what they're saying here. Multnomah County launched a new program today that incentivizes landlords to offer vacant apartments to houseless Portlanders. The county plans to do so by offering to pay 1 year's rent, a damage repair guarantee, and access to service providers via a 24/7 phone line through 211. County Chair Deborah Kafuri said the county set aside $4 million for the program from the 2020 Metro Homeless Services Measure. No apartment should sit unoccupied while our neighbors are fighting for survival outside, Kafuri said. I do believe that the homelessness is a big issue, right? And they need to come up with better solutions than what they've been coming up with so far. But keep in mind, a lot of landlords are not going to want to participate in this. Yeah, they said that they were going to provide a year of rent, right? And they guarantee against damages. But after that year is over, like I said before, suddenly I don't think the homeless people are going to be able to pay the rent after that. So when they don't pay the rent, are you going to be able to evict those people quickly and easily, or are they going to fall under all of these eviction protections that the city has put in place? And the truth is, they're going to fall under those eviction protections. You won't be able to get rid of them. Okay, so you've let somebody in your unit and now you can't get rid of them. It's a bad situation overall, and it's much better just to say, I'm going to rent to just regular people who pay their own rent, and I'm not going to have any issues with them like I would with these people who possibly have, criminal histories, who possibly have drug or alcohol abuse issues and mental health issues. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't benefit a landlord, most landlords, to do this. Now, for the landlords who do want to participate, I'm all for it. Go for it. Okay. If you have a property and you think you can make extra money and you think that you can make this work out, and maybe if you just want to help the community, go for it. I got no problem if landlords want to participate in these sorts of programs, right? But what I'm saying is, this is not the solution. Okay, this is not the solution to the homelessness issue, and a lot of landlords would get screwed over if they did participate. The county says anyone who applies before June 30th will be eligible for the year-long rent, damage repair guarantee, and quick access to providers. County officials did not immediately say whether there was a cap to the number of units it could fund. Shannon Singleton, interim director of the Joint Office of Homeless Services, says the office has been working for months on the program and we're looking to bring in as many units as possible. The county expects to pay market rent for the unit, Singleton says. So if, for instance, the average unit rent is $1,400 a month, the county could fund 235 units for a year with the $4 million. So, yeah, they what I imagine, right, and this is usually what happens with these government programs, you'll get the landlord who owns basically the crappiest, most dilapidated, most horrible shaped apartment building in the entire county, right? And it's in the middle of the ghetto. There's just crime everywhere. And this landlord has trouble getting good tenants into the property. So he goes down to the county. Sure, I'll put some homeless people in here. I don't expect the landlords with, decent buildings in decent areas to even want to participate because it's just too much hassle and too many risks are involved. But for that landlord, and I'm not going to call them a slumlord, they're just a low income landlord, okay? That person might say, I can make a good year of profit off of these homeless people, so yeah, I'll go for it. But how does that really help those people, putting them into the absolute worst environment? Well, yeah, at least it gets them off the streets, but that I don't know if it's going to provide them with the help that they truly need or not. So like I said, this isn't a solution to the problem in my opinion. So if I was a landlord in Portland, no way I'd participate in this. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to be reading a few of the comments from my last video about Portland, Oregon. And, I just wanted to highlight a couple of things that I thought were interesting, right? So let's see here. So there was another landlord, and he wrote a comment about the rent control issue, right? And he just lists his name as Ron, right? I got no problems with you, Ron. I just, I don't mind friendly debate, okay? And between landlords, the way you see things, the way I see things, we just see things a little bit different. I'm going to tell you exactly why on the video. So Ron says, I own a small apartment building in a city with rent control. Some of my tenants have lived in their apartments for 10 years or more. They obviously pay way below market rent. If there was no restriction, their rents would increase to current market prices, and the elderly lady that lives in one apartment would be forced onto the street. All but 2 of my apartments have turned over in the last few years, which under rent control laws allows me to bring those rents up to current market rates no matter how much they increase by. There is no rent control on vacant apartments since there is no one to protect. Once a new tenant moves in, their future rent increases are then set by the city and average under 3% per year. If my expenses increase exponentially, I can request a rent pass-through so the tenants share in those increased costs. I am doing just fine with rent control. Well, Ron, I'm glad that you are doing fine with rent control, okay? But there's a few key points that I wanted to mention that you mentioned here, okay? You said that all but 2 of your units have turned over recently. So that is good, okay? I mean, I'm glad that your city allows you to, in between tenants, raise the rent up to market rates, okay? Now, the problem is, especially when we're talking about, some of the newer rent control policies, they are not allowing you to raise the rents up to market rates in between tenants, okay? The other problem is that tenants, they turn over far less frequently in rent controlled units than they do in regular market units. What that means is, you're going to have a lot of tenants who stay for a very, very long time. Now, you said that you have to basically go and petition if you have expenses, etc., that are above the amount of the rent increase. Well, what happens when they say no, you can't do it? And there's always that chance. There's a chance that they say, no, you cannot raise your rents, regardless of how much money you're going to lose, because someone else is put in charge of your business over you, right? And I don't like that. I don't like all of the hoops you have to jump through. Yes, there is money to be made in rent-controlled units. I never denied that, right? My issue is that you don't have full control over your property. And as long as someone else has control over your property, there will always be the opportunity for you to get screwed. That's why I say don't invest in places that are under rent control, especially as a new or a smaller landlord. I mean, you can really get screwed over and it can really hurt you badly, especially if you don't know the rules and you don't have someone to help navigate you through the system. But, I'm going to try from now on to, read a few of the comments at the end of my videos just to see, if this is something you like, go ahead and mention it down below and I'll keep doing it.